Here today with Toledo head coach Matt Campbell, who had us appear in 2 bowl games in 3 years while you're here. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
With your process coming to UT, was it a shock that they had you as interim head coach right before the bowl game?
No, I guess that whole process, with being the offensive coordinator here under Coach Beckman, with us certainly being fortunate enough to have success on the offensive side of the football and really as a program as a whole. When our great athletic director here, Michael Bryan, had said once Coach decided to leave to go to Illinois, would you be interested, one, in leading this football team, into the military bowl, and two, possibly having the opportunity to become the head football coach here, at a young age. I said, yeah, there's no question. That's something that I have aspirations to do. So, plus I think for me, it was the opportunity to finish that season out with the kids that have really set out and really started to change the culture here at the University of Toledo. So it was a great opportunity for me and certainly our coaches on the staff to go and prepare for that military bowl game.
I remember it was a lot of flack coming from the players. They wasn't happy about Beckman leaving.
Right.
And then when you came in, it was some odds that I heard, but you did a great job. You won. Everybody forgot about it. You pretty much won everybody over.
Yeah.
With that win, how would you say that game against Air Force? Because it was a back-and-forth game. The year before, we lost in a Pizza Bowl, and that was T.Y. Hilton killed us in that game. Now, how did you feel? How was the first victory?
Well, I think more than anything, I felt great joy for our kids because I knew that especially that senior class and that football team had really paid the price to continue to put our football program back on the map of where we should be within Toledo football. And so, for me, it was great to watch our kids go win a really close football game. And, you talk about the Air Force Academy, and anytime you play a military academy, you're going to get their best shot for 60 minutes, and that's certainly what we got. And I was really proud of how our kids fought and battled the entire day, and to be able to come out on top of it in that football game was great. And what it did, I think, for the future of our program is what you said. I challenged our kids before that game, and I said this, that in life, change is inevitable. It happens, but greatness is a choice. And from here on out, we are going to choose greatness. And, that day we certainly started that process, and we've been rolling ever since.
And the first full season was a good year for you.
There's no question. We had a really veteran group on defense. We had 10 starters that were back on that side of the football, and of those 10 starters, 9 of them were seniors. And, we were able to kind of take that group and really continue to mold it, as well as some youth at that time on the offensive side, guys with Bernard Reedy coming into his first full year as kind of the number one target. David Flewellen really coming into the first year, him being the starter that year. And, that defense really kind of ushered in this new offense. And by mid-season, we were really playing in true form. And, finished the year off 9-3 before we went to the Potato Bowl. And, suffered some really hard injuries at the end of that season, but our kids kept fighting and kept plowing through, and even in the Potato Bowl, started off in that football game, and we're really right in it till late in the fourth quarter and losing some of our best football players. But our kids never quit fighting, and their attitude and effort really, again, I was really proud of that piece of the puzzle throughout that football game. So, year two was certainly, a chance for us in first full season to continue where we were trying to get our football program, and the culture that we were trying to create now, a part of myself and our staff going into that season.
What about last year? Last year was an interesting year.
Yeah, last year you talk about it, probably the youngest football team that I've had since I've been here, even as an assistant coach. We started 10 new starters on defense, and had a lot of youth going into last season. Even on the offensive side, we had some guys that now, with a guy like Reedy and Flewellen and Owens, who were kind of the experience of the team, but everybody else around them were really young. And I think one of the things that I was really proud of this young group, playing such a challenging schedule, opening up in the Swamp, playing Missouri, and really going to play those guys toe to toe and being right in those football games. And we were able to grow a lot last season. I saw this young football team really grow up before my eyes, and it was a little bit of a disappointing end of the season. We had a chance again late in the fourth quarter to beat a really good Northern Illinois football team to win the MAC West side of the conference, but they prevailed. Their quarterback did a great job at the end of that football game, won the game, and it was a tough loss going to Akron. We had to play on a short week going out there. They had a couple weeks off, but a very talented football team, and I think we learned a harsh lesson going into that game, and the lesson learned at the end of our football season. Even though we were a 7-5 football team, I felt we were worthy to go to play a bowl game and represent our conference well. We didn't get picked, and I told our kids afterwards, I said, in life, when you leave, things to chance, when you put your fate in other people's hands, there's a lot of times you get disappointed. And we had a chance at the end of the football season to finish what we had really overcome throughout this season. And we didn't do it, and I think it was a great lesson for not only myself and our coaching staff, but also for our football players to really usher us into now what is a really exciting 2014 football season that comes. So again, I saw great growth last year, and I saw some areas that we need to continue to strain to grow in, but I think where we're taking our program, where this program's headed, is in the right direction, and I'm ecstatic about what the future holds here in Rocket Nation.
I was at a few games last year, and there's two guys that stood out to me. Chaz Whitaker,
yeah,
and I like Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
Running back. I was at the game when he played Navy, and he came in,
yeah,
and that kid is nice.
yeah.
He ran for, he ran, what, 119,
Yeah.
120?
Yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns. It seemed
Yeah.
like every time he touched the ball, he broke at least
Yeah.
for a 10-yard gain every touch.
Well, I think you look at the future of our program. We've recruited really well here, and now we're starting to reap the benefits of that. I said this: we'll be a great football team and an elite football program when we have the depth of 22 starters on offense and 22 starters on defense. And what I mean by that is having an unbelievable 2 deep on both sides of the football. And I think our recruiting efforts and the time that we put into recruiting the right people to come be a part of our program are really starting to pay off right now. And you've seen that really we're now 12 practices into spring practice, and you're seeing that growth really occur. So Kareem Hunt and Chaz Whitaker are certainly 2 young guys that are young names that have great futures ahead of them if they continue to grow and continue to take their game where they have the potential to take it.
So you ranked 14th in the nation in rushing yards last year. With Andre being gone and Kareem is going to be number 1 on the depth chart, are you going to add another running back to the platoon where he can get like 120 and the second can get 50 or 60?
Well, I think we feel really good about that. We've got a young man named Davian Jones-Moore who had some huge runs last year for us, and really broke the Buffalo game open with a big 60-yard touchdown run. I think had 8 touchdown carries last year in his own right, and he's got a tremendous future. He'll be a redshirt sophomore next year. A kid named Mark Remy rushed for over 100 yards in the Akron game as a freshman last year. And we bring in a really talented young freshman, a kid named Terry Swanson out of Western Pennsylvania that'll be joining our football program come this June. So again, we feel like we've got some guys that really know how to carry the football, and I certainly would be remiss not to throw in there a kid named Ricky Pringle, who will be a senior for us and has walked onto our program and really been a talented backup for us. And a guy, again, that scored some key touchdowns when we had some injuries late in the season last year. So we feel we got great depth there. We feel like all 5 of those guys have the ability to run the ball. And the biggest piece of the puzzle is if you're going to have a great running back, then you better have a great offensive line. And I think that's where everything starts with us offensively, is those front 5. And we feel like we've got a great core nucleus back there that can really lead the way and pave the way for that group.
Quarterback situation. Since I've been at UT, there was always a quarterback controversy.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Terrence Owens, Daniel was going at it. When Terrence Owens got hurt,
Sure.
put in Logan.
Yeah.
You're going into this year, you have Philip Ely
Yeah.
coming from Alabama. So you think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him?
Well, I don't think so. I think Philip's a guy that understands that, one, he's competing right now against there's 3 really talented guys right now in our program that are competing to be the starting quarterback. There's Logan Woodside, and Logan's played a lot of football for us, and as a true freshman last year, really won us the Eastern Washington game as the quarterback, won us a starter to Central Michigan and won that football game. Then of course Philip. Philip brings a lot of knowledge and certainly a young man that I think when you talk about defined success, Philip defined his success as a high school quarterback and playing high school. Was fortunate enough to get a scholarship at the University of Alabama. Did a really good job there, and decided to transfer when he didn't win the starting job. A.J. McCarron did, and then you know, you look into our football program right now, and then you see a redshirt freshman, a kid named Michael Julian, who is extremely talented as well. And all three of those guys have had really good springs. So I think that race continues to be wide open, and the best man will win the job as we go into the fall.
Yes. Another quarterback controversy.
Another quarterback controversy in Toledo, absolutely.
But now this is a young team.
Mm-hmm.
You lost how many starters last year?
Well, on the offensive side, we lost 7 starters. On the defensive side, we only lost 2. So, you know, right now we come back and we feel like maybe as much depth and as many guys that at least have playing experience as we've had in a long time. And even though we lost some guys like a Fluellen and like a Reedy and like an Owens, you know, I remember 2 years ago when we lost Page and Adonis Thomas and certainly Austin Dent, and everybody said, well, how will the Rockets be? And we've got some really talented young guys that are ready to step into those shoes and really not only continue what we've started here, but continue to raise the level of excellence at those positions.
I believe we will be excellent next year, because a lot of the guys last year were sophomores and juniors.
Yeah.
And now they have the experience. They play actual hard opponents.
Yeah.
Now that'll carry over to this year. I think everyone's looking forward to the Missouri matchup again. So.
Well, I think it'll be a great game. You know, we've got the utmost respect for their football program. Of course, Coach Pinkel being the former head football coach here and the success that he's had at the University of Missouri and really building that program to what it is today. And, you know, I think our kids always get excited for every game they play, but when you have a chance to play a program like the University of Missouri and where they've taken their program, especially last year, it's a great opportunity to play an opponent such as their caliber.
Now, as you was a head coach, a lot of students speak highly of you. I seen you at a lot of events. I met you at a basketball game. You opened up to me, invited me here. What would you say? Do you think a lot of athletes now want to prefer to play for a coach, a younger coach? You and PJ Fleck are the youngest.
Yeah.
Mac. You think a lot of them?
Well, I think to me at the end of the day, it's every kid is different, and you know I think every recruiting situation is certainly different. But you know my goal of what I like to create in our football program is a very close knit tight group, and you know I think the only way you can ultimately reach your full potential as a football program in its own right is if there's great trust and there's great unity. And so for me, it is opening up and being available and making sure that not only our football program, but our campus as a whole and our university as a whole is one. And, you know, I think that's one of the special things that we have to sell at the University of Toledo is that from our academic campus to our athletic campus to our students that do attend this university, it's a very close-knit community. And I think that shows up in the Glass Bowl on Saturday nights. I think it certainly shows up in Savage Arena, you know, during our men's and women's basketball games. And, you know, it's a special place to be right now.
I agree. I agree. Now, you're 34?
34.
One of the youngest coaches in college football.
Yeah.
So you head off into the future. You think you'll be able to build a powerhouse here at the University of Toledo?
Yeah. Well, I think that's our goal and vision here. You know, as I look at our university and I look at the landscape of football today, you know, my vision from day one has been set to take our football program, which has got maybe one of the greatest traditions in all of college football. You talk about the conference championships here. You talk about the winning streaks that have been provided here, some of the great championship teams and players that have played in our program. And you take that tradition, you hope to make it better than what you had when it got it. I think one of the things that we've got an opportunity to do right now in our football program is take that step into the elite of college football. And, you know, we've seen teams in our conference that have continued to raise the level of what a Mid-American Conference football team can do. And you look around the country and you see what some of these mid-major programs have done in places like Utah and places like Boise State and TCU. And you look at what we have to recruit, where we recruit, and you say, why not us? And so, you know, we're really focused in on who we are and really building our program one step at a time, one day at a time, but doing it the right way to build it for a long-lasting football program, not just a quick fix.
UT is had one of the best recruiting classes coming into this year. Mm-hmm. You're ranked number 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who's one freshman that you would say that we have to look out for?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a really exciting year for us because, one, this was the smallest class that we've ever brought into the University of Toledo. We only signed 18 full scholarship Division I athletes, which is great because it means we got a great senior class coming, and to be able to do that. But as I look at this class, I think there's, you start off on the offensive side. There's a lot of names to talk about. Terry Swanson's one that's a running back coming in from Aliquippa High School over in Western Pennsylvania. Cody Thompson is a name, a local young man from Huron High School over in the northeast part of the state of Ohio. As a wide receiver, played quarterback, led his football team to the semifinals here in the state championships, and had a great run basketball-wise. And then you flip it over to the defensive side, and a defensive side that's loaded on defensive back talent. And there's so many names on that side of the football that you look at it with, but probably one of the most impressive names is Noah Spielman, Chris Spielman's son, who will come in on the defensive line piece of the puzzle. In the secondary, a kid named Diedrich Brinson. Diedrich is a young man that comes in as a highly recruited corner, 6'2.5" from down in Florida. And another young man named Bernard Rogers, who comes from the same high school that Philip Ely played in at Plant High School, where they won state championship last year. And a young man that comes in as a corner nickel type football player, but a guy that can also be a punt returner, kick returner. So I think we got a lot of guys, and I'm sure there's some guys that maybe I didn't even mention, but it's a really talented class. I think all 18 have a chance to really impact our football program somewhere down the line. But I think we're starting to get to that point where not a lot of those freshmen are going to have to play. We can kind of let them sit, nurture, and really grow, and when they're ready to play and explode on the field, we'll put them in.
We're going to go look back at your career. This is where the fun stuff's going to begin. With your time at UT, what is the most intense football game you've ever coached?
Yeah, well, I really think that any time you play that school down south, and you put the helmet on against them in that great rivalry game, that's something that's really special. And so I think anytime we've stepped on the field with that opponent, that's a really special week, and that's a really special football game. And I think you have to be a part of this program, and you got to be a part of the tradition of that game to really understand it. But I know rivalries are what make college football really special, and that's a great rivalry and something that we have great respect for and we understand, but also a game that we certainly understand the importance to not only to ourselves and our program, but to the former players before us.
All right. What about playing out of the conference games? Going into this year, everyone's looking forward to playing Missouri again. You think that since there's some more familiarity, think there will be a better outcome this go around? Because when I watched the game, everyone was nervous at the beginning, and then they started to become more in the thick of things once the game goes along.
Well, I think anytime our kids here expect to win each and every game, and I think that's the thing I appreciate about our kids. And we play a really challenging schedule year in and year out here. I don't think we're afraid of that, and that's something that I think has helped us grow, quite honestly, as a football team, is playing some of those big opponents, whether that stage is on the road or that stage is here at home in the Glass Bowl. Playing some of those great opponents really prepare you for our conference. And I say this all the time, that when you play great teams like that, you got to bring your A game, and if you don't bring your A game, you're going to get embarrassed. And in this conference, if you don't bring your A game each and every Saturday, then you're going to get beat. And so I think it really teaches us from the start of the season to the end of the season that you have to prepare with that same mindset, the same attitude, the same commitment level each and every Saturday. And if you don't, ultimately you're not going to get where you want to go. So, a school like Missouri, the schools that we're fortunate to play, year in and year out, we're really blessed to play those great opponents, and I think our kids look forward to the challenge.
Where do you begin your coaching career? Was you a grad assistant at Mount Union before you?
As a matter of fact, I actually started my career at that school down south, and once I got done playing at Mount Union, I had an opportunity when Coach Meyer was just getting ready to leave down there and go to Utah. Was able to get on as a graduate assistant down there, and really a great time for me. I was there for 2 years. Really, at that time, the spread offense was starting to cut cut its teeth and really grow, and had an opportunity to really learn from a lot of great coaches now who are all ultra successful across the country right now at that time down there. And we had great success, part of two teams, one that played in the MAC championship game, the other one, both teams ended the year out in the top 25 in the country, and we were ranked in the top 10 in the country in offense. So really learned a lot during that time, and then back to Mount Union as the offensive coordinator, took what we learned, and the head coach at that time said, hey, would you bring the spread offense here and teach us? And it was a great time to go back there. We won 2 national championships and had some great success, and was fortunate enough to get hired back at that school down south as a full-time football coach for 2 years. Was there, and then when Coach Beckman got the job here at the University of Toledo, said, Matt, would you be interested in coming here as the offensive coordinator? And I jumped at the opportunity, and really have been here ever since. So it's been a great ride. I've had the opportunity to learn from so many great mentors and great coaches. And I think it's like anything in life, you take those experiences, you learn as much as you possibly can, you put them into what you really believe in, and you continue to make what you believe in really grow.
You were at Mount Union. Did you help out with Pierre Garcon and Cecil Schwartz?
I was really fortunate. Both Coach Campbell and myself, our offensive coordinator here now, were a major part of their careers from a playing standpoint. Pierre was the wide receiver for us the 2 years that I was the offensive coordinator. And to have a guy like that, and really he was a great player, but the best part about Pierre Garcon is what you saw each and every day of practice. He was a guy that really that had this chip on his shoulder and knew that he wanted to prove everybody just how special he really was. And he practiced with great intensity. He was a great student of the game and really worked to become the best. And so it was great 2 years with him. And Cecil was a freshman at the time, so he was kind of learning and kind of cutting his teeth into where he was starting his career. And Cecil, of course, we know as both of those young men have represented, now the University of Mount Union extremely well, and both those young men are truly, I tell kids all the time in this recruiting process, 2 young men that paid to go to school for 4 years, and now they're one of the top 2 wide receivers in the country in all of football, and really proud of what those 2 have accomplished.
Now, was they a powerhouse, Mount Union? I saw they had like thousands of championships.
Well, it's a pretty special place. It's a place that the former head football coach, who's now the athletic director, a guy named Larry Karras, is he's somebody whose vision put a lot of time and effort into that program and really believed in building it the right way, and he did. And truly one of the finest football coaches in all of football, and a guy that goes down as the all-time winningest football coach in college football history. And there's a reason why, and it's because of his hard work, his passion, and his belief in the growing one of these great powerhouse football programs. So I definitely say it's a powerhouse, and I think it's one of those places that it's pretty special to have your name linked as being part of that program, both as a player for myself and as an assistant coach.
You try to carry on what you learned there here.
No question. Each and every day, I think a lot of the foundational principles that we have in this program today are if you went over to Mount Union and you saw their program and what it was built on, very similar piece of the puzzle.
Now, you're a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're just getting better. The whole university is getting better. Everyone's experienced now. I'm pretty confident that we'll get a bowl this year. Mm-hmm. Is that every coach's goal when you sit down and everyone just talk about preparing for the season? Like go out, try your best to get a bowl? Or?
Well, I think when we sit and look at our program, I think where we build our program today is we expect, number one, is to play for a conference championship year in and year out. It's been 12 years since the University of Toledo has won a MAC championship. So I think no matter what occurs or what starts, that's number one. Number two is, I think, certainly the opportunity to experience a 13th football game. Okay, somehow, some way, the opportunity to go play in a bowl game somewhere, I think is paramount, and an opportunity for our kids. We've been to Detroit, we've been to Washington, D.C., we've been to Boise, Idaho. The opportunity to take our program and our kids and go throughout the country and show who we really are. I think that's what an opportunity for our young men to experience that and to play an extra football game. And then at the end of the day, it's for our kids to do what they're capable of doing academically in the classroom. Those are our 3 foundational goals, and really what we strive to be the best at within our football program.
I know you keep tabs on the students. It's education.
No question.
Morgan Williams, he's a good friend of mine. That's my guy.
Yeah.
He spoke highly of you.
Yeah, yeah.
And we had class together before I graduated.
Yeah.
He was always in about being in the study hall.
Yeah, yeah.
So education is first.
Well, I think that these young guys come into our football program for 4 to 5 years, and they get one unbelievable opportunity to, and the opportunity isn't just football. It's the golden ticket to this whole thing is to get that degree and have an opportunity to take your knowledge, develop it, and set yourself up for the rest of your life to be really successful. So we really put a lot of time and effort as coaches and within our program to make sure that our young guys are chasing their dreams equally on the field as what they're doing off the field. So I'm really proud of what our kids have accomplished off the field here.
Do you play a father figure role on the team? There's some guys who come to you and ask for advice or life-changing decisions. Do they consult with you first?
Well, I hope so, and I think that's part of what makes it special to be a coach is you got to be involved in these young men's lives, not just on the field but off the field. And you know, they're still 18 to 22-year-old young men, and they're growing into men. And so I think, you know, our job is to usher that growth process through their 4 to 5 years here, part of our program. So there's a lot of times that we have the opportunity to sit down and talk about what's going on off the field, and you know, making great choices and continue to be the best person that you possibly can become.
Now, as far as your coaching accomplishments, do you feel like you exceeded expectations, being that you're going into your 3rd full season?
Yeah, you know, I don't know if I think about that. I think probably nobody puts more expectations on me other than me. You know, I think that, you know, my goal is I want to win every football game, and I want to be the best I possibly can be, and I think I'm probably my hardest critic, and that's okay. You know, I know where we want to go and where I want to take our kids and take this football program. So, you know, I don't know if I really sit and look at that. I look at how can we constantly get ourselves better, and how can we constantly improve our program and take it to where we'd like to take our football program.
So I've been a UT Rocket fan for 20 years.
Yeah.
I would arguably say that UT is one of the best mid-major teams in American football collegiate history.
Yeah.
Now you brought that excitement back.
Yeah.
You have a lot of fans back in here.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to get more ESPN exposure. Yeah. And I would say that the guys you have now, I like Alonzo Russell.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt. I would go out on a limb and say he could be as good as Chester Taylor.
Yeah.
Well, him being a freshman last year and cracking the century mark just about every single game. Him being a freshman at a time. Now he's a sophomore. He's going to get better. Mm-hmm. I'm really liking this team and what you're doing with the team. The program is heading to the right direction. I'm going to predict we're going to make a bowl this year.
All right.
I'm going out on a limb. I'll be at the Glass Bowl every home game I was last year.
All right.
You're doing a great job. You brought me here.
Yeah.
Being a fan again, I love the atmosphere. It's more than the see you at the game T-shirts.
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
And you making a great tradition. It's on your 3rd year.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Well, it's fun, and we've got great things left to come here at the University of Toledo in our football program, and this thing's just starting. So I can't wait for 2015 to get here, and really proud of what our kids and what the hard work and time that our coaching staff and kids have put into this season coming up. So it's going to be fun, and look forward to it. Can't get here fast enough.
You're going to be a great coach. We're going to see your name and your picture on the Hall of Fame. Sonny Smith is going to induct you.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I look forward to it. Well, thanks for coming today.
You.
All right. Thanks so much.